Go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Empowering Voices. So today I'm here with Lorrine Patterson, and I want to introduce you our words for today that are a special creation, a recent one that says, I have a voice. And it's just perfect for our guest for today. Lorrine is an author. She's a podcast host, and she had a journey to get to have exactly her voice. But I want to welcome you, Lorrine, and please, I want you to tell us what you do in life, how you got there, and why.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm very thankful to be here to share my story. But I started my journey at the age of 16. So I don't remember a lot of my childhood because I had I grew up in an abusive home, both mentally and physically abusive, both my parents. And they were divorced when I was little. So I was back and forth to my mom and dad, living with my mom and dad. So I always grew up in, yes, I have one brother and 3 sisters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so pretty big family. Yeah. But we were always split up. We didn't grow up together. Oh. And, once my parents divorced, we were, back and forth, not always together. So my family life as a child was already chaotic and broken support system. Mm. So at the age of 16, I had my first suicidal thoughts where I just was really sad and I didn't want to live on this planet Earth anymore. And I didn't know where that was coming from. I was so young, but I just knew I was sad. Yeah. That's when the sadness really started.
Yeah. But I think it was together, your situation, and also the period of the teenage period is not easy on anyone, but on top, of course, you had some very difficult backgrounds.
Yeah. And so I kind of just took that with me. I ran away from home because I thought if I ran away, I would be happy. Yeah. I ran away with my boyfriend for the summer at the time. And I went back home because I wanted to finish high school. I was only 16. I had one more year of high school. Yeah. So the plan was to finish high school and move out with him after high school. But what happened was my mom's husband at the time, he didn't like her kids. So he convinced this guy to marry me when I came back home. Oh. So I actually married this guy that I ran away with.
At 16?
At 17.
Oh, wow.
Because I turned 17 over the summer.
Yes.
So yeah, it was really confusing because I just came back home, and why would my mom want to get rid of me once I'm back home, because she had the cops looking for me, the police, and it was just kind of odd.
It meant that she wanted you to get back. Yeah.
Yeah. So once again, I was in this kind of, okay, well, if this is my chance to get away from here, I'm going to get married to him. So that's the reason why I married him, was to get out of the house.
It was a sort of freedom for you. You saw. Yeah.
Yes. I thought freedom, but I was wrong, because the next 9 years I was married to him, I was essentially in prison myself. He was very abusive to me. I went into 9 more years of basically mental abuse. He always put me down. If I tried to leave him, he would threaten to kill me. He was,
quite tough. I always
very, very tough
in a situation like this. Did you have the idea of going and maybe report him, or were you scared? What happens in these?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was really scared. Really scared of him, because I had to, as soon as I got married to him, I got pregnant with my first son. So I had my first son when I was 18. Yeah. And I was scared. I didn't want to leave him. I didn't have any money. I didn't know where I was going to live. I couldn't go back home. My mom didn't want me. My dad didn't want me. So, I kind of was stuck with him, and I just stayed with him, and I had 2 kids with him, actually.
Oh, wow.
But when he got arrested he got caught with drugs in his car. He was a drug dealer. He went to prison for 3 years. So I was on my own to raise these children and try to take care of this business he had. He also had a family business.
Okay. So how did you see that period? For sure, it was from a practical point of view, being a mom, a businesswoman, all of a sudden everything on you was difficult. But on the other side, it wasn't there. So how did you see, I mean, did you see the positive? I mean, the situation was so difficult that it's probably difficult to see some positive, but how did you feel in having him around?
I built up the strength to finally leave him. So while he was in prison, I was building up my courage and my strength to say that I'm done with this relationship. It's not working for me. And I want to be free, essentially, because I really felt like I was in prison. And so when he was in prison, we finally came to an agreement that when he got out, we were going to divorce.
Oh, wow. With him. So he was, let's say, supporting your proposal.
Yes. He was for the first time I saw him cry, first time. And he was really, truly sorry for all the pain that he caused me. But at that point, I was already gone,
your decision was taken.
Yeah, sure. It was already.
Do you think he didn't realize how much pain he gave you?
I think truly, while I was writing this book, I truly think he was not aware of his behavior. I think he grew up in a an environment like me, very tough environment. So I think, he had some working on to do himself.
Yeah, but he didn't probably even know.
He didn't,
and he found it normal to go on with whatever he knew until that moment.
Yes. He was a ladies' man, I already knew that when I met him, that he liked a lot of ladies, he had multiple affairs on me while we were married. And I kind of knew that already, but back then I liked the bad boy. I kind of took that.
Yeah.
I like the bad boy. I want to be with the bad boy. I don't know why.
Well, there's always a phase in life, I think, for all women, until we understand that the bad boy is bad.
Yes. Yeah. So I finally divorced him. And I was really, really happy for a little while because I still had the depression that I was carrying.
Of course. Yeah.
I didn't know.
And 2 children.
2 children. I was trying to live on my own. I didn't have child support from him. We agreed in the divorce paperwork that we were not going to take child support from each other, which was a mistake. I should have never done that. But, I thought I have my independence. I'm going to be independent. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to raise my kids. And I started to find my career, which thankfully I had a really good career. And so I just
I don't think you had to thank anyone apart from yourself. Actually.
Yeah, for myself. But that was the one good thing in my life that that was really going well for me, was my career.
That's good, because also in this situation it's very difficult to be positive, I suppose, and have motivation, basically. At least probably your children were the main motivation, because so it was a bless in the end that you had them so young. But they helped for sure to push yourself, and fortunately your career went on. So what happened at this point?
So I started working on my career. I joined a car dealership. I was a customer service representative for a car dealership in my area. And that's where I met my second husband. So I met him, we started dating. I didn't think I was going to marry him. I just, barely got divorced from the last one. So we were dating, but what ended up happening with him is he couldn't commit to me even as a boyfriend. So one day I woke up and there was a note on the counter and he broke up with me through a letter. Oh, really kind of odd.
Out of the blue completely.
Out of the blue, just wrote a letter, said that I can't commit to you, and okay. So I went on with my life, but then he ended up coming back into my life and we ended up getting married.
Yeah. Probably because you didn't chase him. So he said, wait a second.
I did not chase him. I didn't think about him. But somehow we got back together, and somehow I said, yes, I'll marry you.
Wow. So he came back with completely different ideas.
Yes.
That's good.
He had an ex-wife that he had talked to about me, and I think somehow she convinced him to marry me. It was kind of an odd conversation at that point, but we got married, and I have two amazing boys with him. So I have two more boys. But that marriage only lasted 6 years because I had a lot of trauma that I dealt with from the first marriage that I carried into the second.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to deal with that. I didn't seek out therapy at that point. Yeah. I was just...
So until then, you never had the psychological support?
No psychological
support. So you were carrying around this burden, basically.
Yeah. And I had postpartum depression with my children, and I didn't know what that was either at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't take any medication for anything, and I was just trying to deal with things on my own, but that wasn't working for me. So it kind of, went into our relationship, and eventually I fell out of love with him, and he didn't want the divorce, but I just wasn't in love with him anymore. There was just no love. We fought all the time.
Yeah. Where's the point to go on?
Yeah. A lot of financial fighting. We fought a lot about finances, and it just wasn't working. So we finally divorced after 6 years. And when we divorced, that divorce was hard for me because he took the children full time. They moved out of the...
really?
Yeah, they moved out of the city because I felt like I only agreed to it because I didn't feel like I was a good mother. I had a lot of things.
Doubts and fears, of course.
Fears and doubts. And I just did what was best for my children.
Yeah.
Which was to be with their dad in the city that he had parents to help care for the children. So I said, okay, I only agreed to that. And I got them like every other weekend, which was really, really hard. I didn't know it was going to be that hard when they left.
Yeah.
And so I started going really into deep, deep, deep depression. And I almost took my life in my 30s, where, I even went to go get a breast augmentation because I thought that was going to make me happy. I was searching for so much.
Yeah, something to give you happiness. Yeah, outside of yourself, of course.
Yeah,
without
outside of myself.
Yeah, all the work was to be done inside.
But I didn't know that until I was 42. That took me a long time to realize that. But I was getting in some unhealthy relationships, again, unavailable men. I was attracting people in my life of how I felt about myself. And I hated myself at that time. I felt like a horrible mother. What kind of mother lets their children leave? Like all these thoughts, negative thoughts, lots of negative thoughts. And so that was building up. And when I almost took my life, I heard something, when you're in that dark place, you're not really all up here,
Yeah,
and
of course.
I don't know what I heard, but it scared me. And I just put the pills back in the bottle. And the next day I went to go see a therapist, and I told her,
like goosebumps. Oh, that's amazing.
If you take your life, she said something I will never forget, which she said, if you take your life, you will break your children. And I didn't want broken children because I was a broken child. And that really kind of woke me up with that suicidal feeling, is that I'm going to really work on my depression. I cannot do this to my children. I don't want them to go through what I went through as a child. And I didn't want them broken. They were good kids. They were whole, whole in their heart and their soul. They had a lot of love in their life. And I was like, I'm not doing this to my children. So that's when I really started working on my mental health, was when that happened.
But what about the first children were teenagers by this time? They were quite. And were they with you, or did they stay with the?
They were half-time with me and my ex-husband, my first husband, because he had gotten out of prison, and by that time he was helping me care for the children. So we were co-parenting. We were co-parenting. Okay, he still had that controlling mentality.
Yeah,
but
that never ends because
it's
so ingrained.
Yeah, but he ended up actually had to leave the country because he was not a citizen. And when you commit the felony that he committed, they deported him.
Oh, wow.
So he got deported. So I actually raised the kids all on my own after that, with the help of his family. His family was very, very helpful. So that was with those kids. And I just kind of was trying to find a man. I was so desperate to find a man. I don't know why, but I just thought if I find a husband or another man, I'm going to be really, really happy.
Really happy. Yeah. We always look for the thing we don't have in that moment.
Yeah.
An excuse not to make
Yeah.
the work on ourselves, basically. Probably. Yeah. It's a defense.
Yes, I was dating, a lot of unavailable men until I finally met my third husband. I was married 3 times. And this guy was actually the older brother of my first boyfriend from high school. Because I did have a first boyfriend and before my first husband. And because I felt so comfortable with the family and I already knew him for so long, I started to become friends with him. And at first it was just coffee, and then it turned into dating, and then it turned into overnight. And it was kind of awkward because of his brother, it was kind of weird to date the family.
I already know you.
Because, that's the kind of person I was. I was just like, okay, well, I don't care if he doesn't care.
Yeah.
So we started dating, and then there was a lot of red flags with him already, especially with his ex-wife. His ex-wife made our life hell, basically. She didn't treat me very well. She wasn't a nice person. They had something on the side going on that he tried to deny.
Something not resolved.
Something was not right, because I saw his text messages to her. He was flirting with her, commenting on her body. She tried to deny it, and we broke up several times before he asked me to marry him.
Oh, wow.
And once again, I was in this flattery kind of thing. Like, okay, well, this guy wants to marry me. I have 4 kids. Who's going to want me? With 4 kids, 2 marriages, 2 divorces.
It's the right choice to make.
Yeah. So in my head, I'm like, okay, this guy wants to marry me. Okay, let's get married. It was really kind of unromantic. It was not romantic at all, the proposal. It was just us sitting on the couch. He didn't have a ring. He just said, why don't we just get married? I was like, okay.
If you take the whole package, because that was the security, basically.
Security, yes. And we didn't tell our kids we were getting married. We kept it secret from them, which I don't know why we did that. It was his decision to keep it secret. I think he didn't want his ex-wife to know, because they had kids together. So I just let it go. Okay, let's just keep it secret. For some reason, you want to keep it a secret. And what ended up happening with him is, after about a month of being married to him, I found out that he had this fantasy, this illicit fantasy of he wanted me to make love to men in front of him. And I didn't know he had that fantasy when we got married. It was after we got married. And I did it one time because I said, okay, I want to do it one time for you.
To make him happy.
To please him. But it ended up being, he needed it all the time. And he was contacting these men. I didn't talk to any of them. Sometimes the men would just show up. It started to be a disrespectful type relationship where he would invite them to our house. When I didn't know. One guy went into the shower with me, and I didn't know this guy, strange man, was going to come in the shower. And it was just that type of relationship with him until after 6 months of doing this with him, my soul, I basically had nothing more to give. I started slipping back into that depression of wanting to kill myself.
Of course.
Because, when I was allowing myself, giving my body to these men without wanting to do it, I had no voice, like your show.
Exactly.
I had no voice. I was like, if I don't do this for him, I'm going to have another divorce. One more divorce, and I was ashamed. I was ashamed to talk to anybody about what was happening to me.
But you were scared of a failure, because for you it was a failure to have another divorce, probably in that moment. Yeah,
failure and ashamed that I was doing this with these men, and strange men. And why would my husband want to do this with me? He's supposed to protect me. So that was all in my head. And one day I just left. I just said, I can't do this anymore. And that's when I really started working on myself. I was 42 at that time. And
how did you take it?
He was really mad. I didn't tell him willingly. I knew that I didn't have the courage to tell him, because he would always sweet talk me to coming back. So I left him a note on the table and said, we have to get a divorce. I'm not doing this with you anymore, because he wanted to start doing swinging. He wanted to do couple swapping.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, no, you're taking it way too far. And that's when I said, I have to start respecting myself. I have to start loving myself. That's when I started loving myself, is I realized I didn't have any value. I didn't have self-worth. I had nothing. I just wanted to please him. But in the end, it was destroying me.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I said,
your identity was completely canceled.
Yes.
Yeah.
I even, like, when I would have these encounters with these men, I would change my name in my head. I would become this different person because I didn't want to be who I was. And so I already knew that behavior inside myself, that was going to put me back to suicide. And I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, it was probably easier to cope with the whole situation, to create like a parallel life.
Yeah.
Because you still were the wife and the mom and the worker, but then there was something else happening that didn't really match with all the rest.
No. And it was just, it was a weird time, you know, and even I never was going to tell anybody, not even my husband now, you know, what happened to me. But I feel like I need to get this message out to other women who are probably going through this, that you don't have to give your body to have somebody love you. Like, if somebody's doing this to you, they don't love you unless you like this type of relationship. But I didn't sign up for this relationship with him. So
it wasn't your choice. It was imposed in some way. Yeah.
And I wanted to get out, but I was really afraid. I was afraid of never finding anybody.
To lose it all.
Lose it all. My kids, I had to tell my kids one more time, you know, we're not with this guy anymore. And so it was just embarrassing for me, shameful. But when I finally said, I don't care, that's when I just moved near the ocean, because the ocean always heals me. And I moved there for about a year and really dove into therapy, positive affirmations, like really started working on myself and changing my mindset that I am loved. I wrote down a lot of things. I am worthy. I deserve to be loved. I even wrote down the type of man I want to be with. You know, respect was number one, trust. And so I just started doing all that. I started dating myself, you know, figuring out what I like instead of what others like, you know, and I write in my book about, you know, eggs. I don't know if you remember that movie, Runaway Bride.
No.
Julia Roberts, and she was trying to figure out what kind of eggs she liked because she always liked eggs other guys liked. You know? And I read about it because that was exactly me trying to find the love of my life, was like trying to please them instead of realizing I don't even like eggs.
But you know? It's probably, of course, a lot in your past, because you were trying to please, to be accepted and loved, because so much love was taken away from you. And of course, it wasn't the right way to do it. So I'm very happy you got to that realization and started working on you, because thanks to that, you can put out there your story in your book and help other women. As you said, you are not the only one, for sure. You are not. And there must be hope. And it's important to tell other women that we all have a voice and it has to count.
So I started working on myself, and then that's when I met my fourth husband. So I realized through therapy and lots of self-help books, you know, that I had to my heart basically broke wide open before I could allow the love that I deserve in. And that's what a therapist told me. And it really resonated with me, because I'm like, wow, she's really right. And that's how I got my book title, Freeing Your Heart for Love, because really my heart was chained inside my body, and I didn't know it for so long. I didn't know what love was. I had to figure out what love was. I didn't grow up with love. So it was something I had to learn. And when I learned that, that's when I met my husband, my fourth husband now. And we've been married since 2019, met in 2017. And I'm the happiest I've ever been in my entire life.
That's amazing. That's very good news.
Yes.
But then there's a very happy ending. And I was thinking, as a mother, you were a giver. Again, you were a giver. So, of course, you received love, because the love from the children, but it's a different love. It's not from an adult, because the child doesn't have any interest not to give you love, while an adult can. So it's only when you feel really free and at peace with yourself, that you can accept someone else in your life, and you got there. So actually your book is printing right now. It will be on the shelves at the end of April.
April, yes.
Yeah. So anyway, there will be all the details and your contacts for everyone to pre-order it. It's in pre-order at the moment. So I really encourage everyone, every woman in general. I think we don't need to go through what you went to be in need, to feel and listen to such an amazing story journey till find yourself again, basically. And what about your children now? Are they with you? Are they
so all my two boys, I have a 14-year-old, 18-year-old, 25 and 32.
Wow.
I'm going to be 49 this year. I know. I
really? Sorry. I didn't ask you before your age, but
I think I'm aging. I'm like aging in reverse. I kind of think of it as like fine wine. I'm aging like fine wine.
No, to be honest, I would have given you maybe 30, but it didn't add up, because making the maths wasn't working. But wow.
My son's
congratulations.
I have 3 grandkids too. So my
oldest way, really?
My oldest son has a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. And then my husband has a daughter who has a daughter, and she's 1. Yeah, we're grandparents. We're young grandparents.
Wow, very young grandparents. Yeah, that's amazing.
We're very blessed, and I am very, very thankful for my life and how far I've come. Because if I would have taken my life, I would have never met my grandkids.
Exactly.
I would have never watched my kids grow up. So
but
they're all in the area.
It would have given a lot of pain to them as well. So
so now the two younger boys from my second marriage live with me, and me and their dad live in the same town, so we can co-parent better. And then my 2 older boys, they're on their own. One just got out of the Navy, and the other one works at Apple.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's such an amazing big family now.
Yeah.
you can only be proud of. And
I'm very proud.
And it's really, it's been a journey, right? A lot of work, because I think it's not been easy also the work on yourself. Because imagine, how many and how strong limiting beliefs were holding you back and putting chains to your heart, really. That's really great.
And I'm able to be a better mother now that I've fixed myself inside, because I was young raising them, and I didn't know how to be a mother. I didn't know how to give to them. I couldn't even give to myself. So I'm making up for some lost time, because I wasn't always around when they were little. Especially my 2 older ones. My second oldest actually went to go live with my mom for a little while, because she was a great grandma. She wasn't a good mother, but she's an amazing grandma. And she helped me raise him, because I just couldn't pick up my broken pieces at that time. I was really broken at that time, and I just couldn't give my son the love that he needed. And I made some choices, as a mother, but right now I feel really good. My kids come over, they're coming over for Easter, and they're bringing the grandkids, and we're really, really blessed to have our life and our children.
And did your relationship with your parents get better, or?
No, so that's like the next chapter, I think, of a book.
Okay, you already have the next one then. Good.
Yeah, I haven't healed that relationship. I've forgiven them when writing the book, and I forgave them a long time ago, but I don't have a relationship with them, because I chose a long time ago when I started healing that I wasn't going to have negative people in my life. They're still very negative people. I don't think they ever will become positive people. And so I love them, but I choose to not have a relationship with them right now.
And it's totally to be respected, because it's your life. Definitely. That's amazing, Lorrine. What a conversation. I can't wait to read your book now.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's only pre-order inside the US, but I am doing pre-orders through PayPal if you're outside of the United States. Everybody could just
okay, so directly on your website.
Yeah, just go to my email. There's an email inquiry there, and then I could do it through PayPal.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. But I have a final question for you. I always ask my guests to see if there's a word or a statement that can be a bit like the base of your life and your business, your why.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I practice a lot of positive affirmation. But, you know, what I always say whenever I'm struggling or in a challenging decision, I always just say, trust the process and trust the universe, because everything always works out for the best.
That's amazing. It's a very positive.
I say that constantly, and it always does work out. You just have to believe that it will.
Okay, we trust you on that.
Yeah.
So thanks again. I remind everyone all the details are in the post, in my bio, on my YouTube channel, podcast, everywhere. So it won't be difficult to reach Lorrine and pre-order her book. Thanks again. Have a lovely day. A bit earlier than here, there in California, and enjoy the sun. And see you soon. Bye.
Okay. Bye.